Pardon the mess, it's a big week here at the house with the new beta. So last guy said all the maintenance was up to date, but when you buy a used bike, it's just good to be extra careful. The initial investment of a couple $100 out of pocket to get all the fluids, get everything kind of here is just smart. It's just peace of mind, lets you know that everything's going to be okay, that you have done everything within your power to make the bike as ready and reliable as possible. So in this video, we are flushing the coolant. Coolant, there's no service interval for flushing coolant, I think, only according to the beta manual I saw. But you should check the fluid after every ride, they say, or before and after every ride, to make sure that you don't need to add more. They recommend MotoCool Expert, I believe, from Motul, but I couldn't find that actually within any reasonable shipping charge. So we're using the MotoCool Organic. It's the exact same temperature rating. It's ready to use, meaning no adding distilled water. And the total capacity is 1.3 liters on the bike, so we grabbed two 1 liter bottles. A little bit extra to top off after rides if we need to. So to do this, we're going to not loosen this up yet. We're actually going to put a jug down under the bike and drain the coolant first, or start draining it, and then we'll release this to get the full force of the coolant coming in. So in another video, I will upgrade this radiator cap to another one, which is a little bit better, and I'll talk about that why whenever we get there. And inspect your silicone hoses. This is a 2016 model, so in my opinion, nothing to happen, but check for cracks, check for fraying, check for any issues. If you think any replacing, I think it's $180 for a set of OEM hoses, with the added benefit of the fact that they are red. Okay, so here we are on the side of the bike. The coolant drain plug, according to the manual, is this one right here. It's the lowest point on the cooling system. And having never done this before, I would say that get out a fairly wide mouth jug underneath it. Underneath that, put some tin foil or aluminum foil, something underneath it, just in case you get a little bit of spillover, that you're not cleaning off the floor and causing harm to yourself, your animals, your kids, those kind of things. Okay, so we have our jug ready and some aluminum foil into that. Let's turn this a little bit and see what happens. Oh, there we go. Whoops. All right. Now we have this awesome setup here of having to remove the radio cap. You're turning in a quarter or half turn, then you're lifting straight up off of it. When I do that, this is going to fly out. So we have to just be ready for that. Like I said, and be glad that we had our stuff ready to catch that. I'm moving this over a little bit. Sorry for the crappy camera work here. All right, so be careful not to touch anything right now. Put it back on its side stand. And we're just gonna place this back in the hole here. We got a little bit on the floor, but much less than I had, well, more than I'd hoped, but less than I was realistically expecting. All right, so we're done with that. So before we continue, I'm actually gonna do a secondary flush with distilled water. Don't use spring water or tap water, use distilled water. I just removed the stock radiator cap, and this is what's underneath there. So, some grossness there. So distilled water will flush out anything else. I mean, that blue coolant was pretty dirty. So you can fill from either side. You can fill from this side with a tube pump, or from this side, just, again, be really careful filling this. But first, we've plugged the bottom hole. We're going to put some distilled water in there. I'm not going to be starting the bike, so we're just getting a straight radiator flush. But it should do a pretty good job. I can't start the bike because I have no spark plug or fuel tank right now. And this is the result of the flush with distilled water. So you saw it still came out blue. So I'm going to do one more round of distilled water actually for us. I can get a complete flush of all the old crap in this motor. So we'll do one more flush. And finally, here's our third flush. This is still a little bit blue, but it's pretty much good. So we're going to clean up the frame a little bit here. You can see there, we're going to clean this up, get everything tightened back up, and then we're going to fill it with the proper coolant, 1.3 liters. If you have a complete bike, whereas you have like a tank and a battery and spark plugs and fuel and stuff, then you should definitely do what is advised, which is run it for a couple of seconds, let that distilled water circulate completely through the system, all through all the pipes, let the motor do its job. That'll break up any more loose materials, and then you'll probably have to even do a third flow of distilled water. Okay, so minimal spilling, just a little bit of splash in there, we'll mop up. I was able to get 1 liter in, and you can see here, the top of the radiator cap. And you have to take this off to have this breathing while you're putting it in. I managed to only get 1 liter in before it hit the top. It does 1.3 total. So what we're gonna do is when the bike is done next week and we're out to go for our first ride, I'll run it for a second and then finish topping it off with the remainder of my Moto Cool bottle, and I'll try to get the 1.3 liters in there. Rocking the bike back and forth did shimmy a little bit more space. I was able to get a little bit more than 1 liter in there, but not quite the 1.3. So I think it's just going to be, I think it's because there's no coolant in the bottom of the hoses, and the engine needs to run for a second for that. So pretty easy, simple. I would probably do this every year. I will do this every year. It was so simple. I mean, it was $25 in parts. I think it's $19 a bottle, so you gotta buy 2 of them. But every 3rd year, right? Every 3rd year, it's a free coolant change. But yeah, $40 a year. It's really not that big of a deal, and it's pre-mixed, and you'll have left over if you need to top it off at some point. So I'm gonna replace this radiator cap with the OEM one, and then in a few days I'll finish topping it off when I go for my ride. Thanks for watching, guys.